I mean, you and you and Sean were losing your minds over the breach, and it seems like that's exactly what they're going to do here. So I like this choice on the attack. They like to take this breach and apply pressure on A side by forcing that player off of top A. But right now, I mean, you know, still early rounds. I'm excited to see Breach in this rotation. I love that they bring this. And then another element that I didn't anticipate, and Puckett's going to be so happy about this, as well as Rivington, is that Reyna is going to be in the fold here.
Yeah, so many cool things to think about, and I completely agree with Breach. I think especially on the defensive side, he allows you to get pretty aggressive. There's lots of set pieces you can do to get that early round information, which we were talking about. But here we go. The map Splits is our proving ground for these two teams at the beginning of this series. We'll have to see exactly what Cloud9 are able to do here. From the offset, we'll see a Boombot sent down mid just to try to get some information, see if there's anybody lurking around that position. But we have a very defensive setup initially from Gen.G, just also themselves trying to feel out their opponent and see if there's any shenanigans that are to be expected right at the beginning. And Mitch has been holding on to that paint bomb for a while. Finally deploys it, but that's actually a huge win for Gen.G. They're able to deplete some of the utility early on.
Yeah, taking the utility away from the Rays is infinitely valuable. Now, this is where I think we're going to see some scary plays coming out with this breach, right? Once he gets that opportunity to hit that fault line, now they're just going to go and push this one right in. Shinobi's going to be waiting in the wings in the backside, does manage to get a kill, but there's that flash. They have the response, but the cross is good, and that's going to be Vice, who manages to pick up 2 kills there. Some weakened members as well for Gen.G. GMD was basically, or I should say GMD is going to be in a bad spot over in the back, and that is basically going to do it, wrapped up in a nice pretty bow. And that really boiled down to just Vice anticipating that and having Shinobi's back when that push came through.
Yeah, absolutely, and it felt like Breach is the agent that could have answered all of the problems there. We saw that flash that goes through the little hut at the back of the B-bomb site to deal with that player that is difficult to deposition, and then Breach can also, you know, use the aftershock or the flashes as well through the big pillar to maybe deal with anyone on site around default. But Vice, as you said, like, you know, just amazing stuff from him, able to get that extra value that he needed to stop that push. And now it's the eco, and we might get the jet dash. Actually, not up a ramp, but into the bomb site instead. Oh god, the shorty shenanigans always a problem, but it looks like they'll hold on for now.
Kind of scary to see TenZ playing this arena. Not something you really would see all that much in North America, but we're going to get a little taste of it here. Now, Shinobi's going to be cut away in the back. Effie's, though, with a classic headshot is going to make quick work of him, though. Watch out as that nade is playing right in the middle, and they're just going to push this one right through. Think that they were safe for the time being, though. There goes more of the judgment being laid down. Effie's, though, is going to be on top. They know exactly where he's going to be, so they should be able to deal with this one, win the round outright. Effie's doesn't really have much of a choice here. Maybe try and go for a few kills, generate some more pips for that res, but they're not going to give him even that there. He'll at least get 1 pip for dying, and that's basically going to do it. So C9 starting off strong here with 2 straight.
It's a nice solid start, and you know, moving into this buy round for Gen.G, I'm curious if they'll try to play things standard, or if they will just go a little bit aggressive, try to be unpredictable. Again, we have to imagine these teams have studied each other quite a lot, and they certainly have a lot of experience playing one another, so there's already sort of a meta that exists within the matchup specifically. But we see a very aggressive mid presence coming in here from Cloud9 to start things off. They really want to fight for this. They have, obviously, as you mentioned, TenZ on that Reyna, so the Leer can be certainly a great way to get a quick burst of aggression. However, there's not too much presence from Gen.G there, so C9 don't pull the trigger on that.
I think they're quite comfortable knowing that Gen.G, they're just going to be spread out, C9, so they can play this one out slowly too. In case they start to get an indication that there could be activity in the mid, the Reyna's Leer should be able to force some attention and actually maybe even push them back a little bit. Leer, very strong ability for the Reyna. Can be shut down quickly though, bear in mind. All you got to do is shoot the eye if you have 2 players there looking and anticipating it. They obviously are not going to be all that aware. And then you got to bear in mind that TenZ is going to be just waiting in the wings with this judge. Now, though, the look is going to be coming over toward A site as Hwin's making his way all the way up here. He's got a good angle to try and deal with these 2 players. He's going to just need that distraction to give him that opening, that opportunity. He knows that players are going to be lingering about too because he's hearing them moving about on top of the box. And this is just a very slow round, but they're going to wait for the prime opportunity. There goes one smoke. It's going to go out, and DDKs is looking quite nice here, potentially for Gen.G. They got the flash off. The initiation's good. Effys is able to get the kill, but on the rotation is going to be TenZ with the judge, so they know exactly where he's going to be located. And Shinobi manages to cut one down, getting a second with that Bulldog too. And while this play was looking like it could have worked out quite well with the first frag coming in for Effys, ultimately, it was just going to be C9 rotating very well to deal with that.
Yeah, C9 played that so well in terms of just keeping things extremely passive. They're just relying on having that mid-control the entire time. TenZ was able to get info and make sure that he could always assist either side depending on what was going on. And they didn't give up any opportunities for Gen.G to get picks. But Gen.G also didn't try to force picks, because you can try to have setups in the mid-round as the attackers where you try to have a setup where you force a pick and try to get that 4v4 or something. But Cloud9 have proven that if you don't pressure them more, they are just going to be very comfortable, and they're going to run down the clock on you, and the clock will become your enemy. Here is the anti-eco now for Gen.G. Oh, not rather for Cloud9 against Gen.G. Shorty doing some work, as always, Golden Boy.
Oh, man, and this is a scary part about having Reyna, because when he goes into that state to dismiss, he's actually able to get even more knowledge from where these players are. So he could just go and just, you know, dance back in. He's got buddies over here by mail. He's okay. In case he dies, it's going to be all good. And now this puts player one in a really precarious position, as if he tries to make the crossover toward A, he's going to get stopped by Relics, who is waiting for him. And then he's got Vice to deal with on B. With a camera out, they're going to know exactly where he is. He's got 50 seconds to determine how he's going to die here, because they have this thing essentially locked down the way you'd want to see it at this moment.
Yeah, there's two main ways that C9 could play this, but as far as player one is concerned, he might try to just get a lucky catcher as he turns the corner, but Vice, the great position, using the camera to edge his way forwards there, given that free info, and Vice is yet to die, playing Cypher pretty effectively. And one thing I was wondering is whether or not in that 2v1 situation is whether Vice would try to actually double up a little bit towards A, as they had the cam there in a hidden position on the B side. As you said, Golden Boy, it's just pretty much impossible, even though it's a 1v2. There's so many advantages that
There
C9.
was just too many lanes that they were watching for player one to make any kind of effective decision there, right? Like, he just didn't really have the wiggle room. They knew exactly where he was, and I think that's the reason why they didn't invest in sending him over toward A. That being said, though, now as we look forward here, Cloud9 currently up 4-0 at the start of this is a great start for C9. They kind of had a bit of a turbulent run in the recent Knights tournament, and honestly, they haven't been like that jaw-dropping as of late. We were starting to see this roster really come together. I think everyone felt quite confident about it, hence, you know, the meme that I know my buddy Moses always liked to make about them announcing a player per month. Finally, they get to this point where they have the consistency, and and now we just need to put this together for some wins, and so far so good for Cloud9 at Pop Flash.
So Gen.G with very late mid presence, but it's not too threatening at this point. We get also a ramp presence, so looking to possibly go for the split towards the A side. They've only got 50 seconds left. That's a great pick found towards that A side. That is the Phoenix dealt with, who has been anchoring, so they may not expect that TenZ will be on the site. And oh, they're actually going to go for a rotation off of this. That's beautiful.
So smart.
Banking on the fact that C9 will rotate players towards this A side, so going for a quick little fake, and the timing is going to work out here.
Yeah, they got everything that they want, but they are going to have to deal with this raise. Mitch, Op looking right on the target. They'll need to get either a flash out. Oh, yeah. Actually, D-scopes at the worst possible time and is now going to be tucked in the back of the base. That was just bad timing through and through. Now they're going to take this B side cleanly. Spike finally going to go down. And this is a different situation here for Gen.G in previous rounds. All 5 players are going to be left alive, and I think that they know, C9, that this is not going to be a winnable opportunity. Just get the exits, let them get the round win. You've already gotten 4 here. Hold on to your weapons, don't do anything silly, and try and make them pay for this. But that just boiled down to Mitch de-scoping at the worst possible time.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate timing too, because if he is able to get that first kill, which he likely does with this position, and he drops off, I'm pretty sure that he's using the paint bomb, which will allow him to create a lot of space, and I think he had a satchel left, so he would have
Gives
been
him
able
time
to cross back to the pillar and hold on to an angle around spawn, or he could have tried to recommit off of the satchel and the paint bomb. So like he would have had all these options to play around with, but he missed that first shot. He's feeling that pressure. I got to get that kill, and as you can see, he's very flustered. So that's unfortunate for C9, but they didn't really lose that much money.
No, they didn't.
Because they were able to save with the remaining 3. So it's one round for Gen.G, but what worries me here, Alex, is that Gen.G are playing really slow, and C9, I saw that they were getting a little bit cheeky with looking to possibly go for a B main take earlier in that round. They didn't decide to end up doing it, but they had the ability to go for it if they wanted. So I wonder if we'll start to see C9 putting the pressure on a little bit more on these extremities.
They're not going to go for that one this time around. It's going to be stopped by the slow orb, preventing any kind of aggression. Quinn is waiting in the wings, waiting for that opportunity. In case anyone does try and get a little bit reckless and go through this, look for some information. But B Garage will be the focus here for Gen.G at this time. And look at the way that they're playing aggressive on A2. So even if they do get some information out of this and they go on the rotation, they are waiting in the wings for that Phoenix. So this is going to be a big one. Oh, I actually quite like that play. Playing the orbital strike, forcing him out of position. It's also going to deal a little bit of damage too. Win right in the action, does manage to get 2. Now you got one player's going to be tucked away inside of CT, and he's going to be basically dead to rights there. And they've managed to take this one with authority. GMD's on the flank. Tense is none the wiser to this one. A clean headshot right to his face. This is going to cost him dearly. And the last player left alive is going to be Relics. And this has been Hwin's round. He flew right in and did the thing that Jet needs to do. Hit people with blades in the face.
So one of the really cool things there on the approach in as well from Gen.G is that they've been playing a really slow pace the entire game. So they're capitalizing on an aggressive timing that they've never been this fast before.
Yeah.
So C9 are also don't have any vision towards B main, and they don't hear an ultimate orb tapped in B main, which normally would probably be what you would expect to hear, which would give them some clue that there is some presence there and the default's carrying out as normal. But in not hearing that, it allows Gen.G to have more element of surprise with the whole team.
And this goes back to also what you said before, DDK, where you're like, Gen.G's playing really slow. You wanted to see them change up that pacing, and they did exactly that. That's part of the reason why C9 got a tad bit comfortable. And Gen.G managed to take full advantage of that. They're within swinging distance of trying to bring this game back into their favor. It's now Quinn's going to be working along with player 1 here on a ramp. They do have Tens looking at this one. When he crosses, he might get picked by the op, but he disengages. Oh, if he stayed there just a second longer, he probably would have been able to get the pick. And now that's going to give Hwin free reign, gets the kill on Heaven. You know, Tens has to be kicking himself for that one, and he's waiting for anyone to be coming through the transition there onto the ramp. Meanwhile, Michael's actually, he sees one player, sends that paranoia to send him out, and then he's going to TP out of there into the backfield. Gives him so much information as to where Tens is going to be located. Now he's going to get onto the site. No connection with that fault line. Misses the shot in a rare occurrence there for Tens, but he's still going to be alive, which will be a problem here for Gen.G to deal with. A 2v4, as a matter of fact. Lear's played out. Tens does know where one player is going to be located, but he has to just bail back out of this one. Play around this paranoia. But Hwin manages to land that shot there, and it was just a great round for Gen.G. The way that they use their abilities. That TP to the back gave them so much comfort to push into the site. They were just prepared for that.
The ice wall was amazing as well. I haven't seen one quite like that, where it allows them a double elevation peak, so they can kind of double peak the close positions around the rafters or below the rafters, and we saw it also allows them to actually have this basically destroy your crosshair placement as the operator player, looking to see them just running in at normal level, and then both players are able to jump off the ice wall, and you whiff that first shot, and they've just gained too much ground already. So I love those details from Gen.G's attack, and don't even have time to go into that anymore. We get that aggression indeed, and that also the ice orb going through to deny any aggression towards B main. Right now it's so hard here for C9. They're just getting stopped at every turn. Gen.G are playing really... They're making Cloud9 play their game at this point, and that's not a good look for Cloud9.
Yeah, they're manipulating this match in their favor, and that's why they're about to come back into this one. The Stim Beacon's going to be a problem for any player to have to deal with here. They're going to be outputting shots so quickly. Tens gets caught holding his Lear. Doesn't work out for him. GMD on the flank, waiting for anyone that could be pushing about. at Shinobi, who does not have much of an option here against his Phantom. And I think that GMD is aware that a player could be coming out of this here, so keep looking for him to turn around just as he's doing. But Shinobi has moved into the, a nice spot. If he gets a gun out of this and he can pull one away, that'll be nice, but it doesn't work out for him. And last player left alive is going to be Relics, waiting inside of the dark cover. Ambitious, for sure. Maybe getting a few posts, but it doesn't work out. Sorry, a few exits, but it doesn't work out. That's going to do it. Tied game here, folks. Gen.G managed to bring this one back. And this is kind of like what we saw from C9 a few times in the past, DDK. I don't know if you recall, but like there was this, they would go like 4 rounds straight, winning, and out of nowhere they'll lose 4 in a row. It's par for the course, unfortunately.
Well, what's interesting to me right here is that we have only the one ult for Gen.G, but it's the Breach ult, which is extremely powerful to take sites or to defend sites. And for C9, they have 4 ults. So here, it would be amazing if that Gen.G could force C9 to burn more ults than they need to. That would be a really huge win for Gen.G in a situation like this. We'll have to see how that Breach ult comes into play. And it might be that they want to go for this B site. It's a bit easier to get value out of the initiation with the Breach ult onto B than it is a... It looks like that might well be the plan here.
Vice is going to be the hero to stand and hold this one down. We'll be backing away from this, and they're waiting. And you called the DDK. They're waiting for it, and they're going to connect with the Cypher and Raze. With the way, actually, no, he may not connect with Vice. Vice could be in a good spot because it comes out on a cone. Yeah, he actually does not end up connecting with that. Does land onto Mitch, though, so Mitch is going to be slowed down. Flash 2, but because Vice didn't get hit with that, he gets 3 out of that push, and that was just beautifully done. I mean, just the wherewithal to be tucked away in that corner and to not get tagged with that. He gets hit with that Rolling Thunder, and that round changes completely.
Yeah, this is a really big problem. Effys will try to stay alive for as long as he can with the Operator, see if he can do some more damage. They do want to get it out of his hands, but you also don't want to give up too many kills and make it too easy for Effys to just get all of these kills. And as you mentioned before, Sages are always looking for ways to build their ultimate, and he would be able to do so with getting extra kills, but does get taken down by Relics. And one thing there is that you could maybe make the argument that Gen.G were a little bit predictable there. We have that information that the only thing that they have is the Breach ult. C9 also have that information as well, and so they're going to be on the lookout for setups. And as I mentioned, B is going to be a way more common way to use that if you're just going to go off of it just from a raw set piece as opposed to just like defaulting and then finding a spot in the mid round. So I think that's part of the problem there for Gen.G. It was just a little bit telegraphed. But we talked about that before. Gen.G, they're a team that can be a bit more telegraphed than some, but they can still make it work.
We're back to the drawing board we go, in C9 with a whole heap load of ultimates to use. That could very well be just game changers for them. Mitch does not get hit with that flash, and actually is going to help him out to be inside of that smoke. And they'll just continue to play this one out. GMD just playing the lurking game now. Getting any kind of information that he could possibly garner. There are going to be 3 players on this site. Most importantly, the op is going to be holding this angle too. Now, the moment that he crosses this GMD, he will get popped by that op. So I think he just, not knowing, but he'd rather just not try and dry push this if he doesn't need to. He keeps dancing with that idea. Meanwhile, on the B site, Vice is going to have to deal with a lot of players here. Paranoia is going to come out. No kills exchanged quite yet, but Vice does manage to pick up a kill there against Mikhail. And off-screen, Tens did get that shot against GMD. That paid off for him big time. Now, though, it will be Gen.G tucked away in the back. They have Spike. They're going to play it over at the default now. And with Wind alive still, that will be a problem here for C9 to deal with.
Yeah, this Operator at the back of the side can be problematic. Oh, great orbital strike coming down, forcing them to split up there. The run it back is going to get burned. So ult for ult slows things down. There comes the rocket. Oh, great shot from Win. Catching Mitch, able to dodge, able to dash out of harm's way. And now that leaves Relics in a horrible crossfire. He has the wall, though, to break up the crossfire. Try to find 1v1s. In goes the flash. Manages to nail player 1. And this is going to be tough now. 1 versus 1. Here comes Win. Around the side. Will Relics play the guessing game correctly? There it is. The shorty from Win finishes things off. What a great round from him. Gen.G pick up a much-needed round.
That was amazing there. I mean, the fact that Win managed to stay alive and get that one critical shot there on Raze at the perfect moment. And that's the reason why you see so many people argue about who is really, really strong in Valorant right now, which agent is really strong in Valorant, and that reason right there, that's the reason why the argument always trends toward Jet, because in any other circumstance, that was any other agent, that player would have died to that rocket, but Tailwind allows him to get out of that sticky situation.
May actually get an explosion off of a pick from Win here as well, looking to just speed things up. Gen.G haven't done it, just a straight contact play. You can see they're just walking all the way, hoping that Win can get a pick, and then they can just rush it in behind that. But obviously they have a plan B if that's not the case, and Relix is at the top of A ramp, so there could be problems here. And there it goes, the dash up drop, that wall again to create very dangerous peaks. Ooh. It's very hard for C9 to defend this. They'll try to hold on, and Relix still has A ramp control with 10s.
Yeah, with the fire rate being increased there, it will be quite challenging to try and win that fight. One thing that I'm not noticing that they're doing, when they played the fault line breach before, what they were doing was they were allowing that fault line to try and push players back, but Mikhail manages to get 2 there. Oh no, he's going to go right into the hands of Relix, who saw him, but player 1 traded that one out. I think that now that they know that they're stacking A like that, perhaps they start using that fault line to force him back. Yeah,
I've seen some teams that have, I'm trying to remember, I always mix it up. It's either, I want to say Envy or Immortals that have like a really awesome portion of their default where they get the breach, fault line, and they have smokes, and they always manage to just take top A ramp control, and then they just sit on it, and they leave a Jet there some rounds, you know, the Jet pushes, some rounds it just sits there, just creates a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
And so it is really strong because you can take A ramp, but you don't have to commit into the A site, and you can play off the enemy's rotations after that. But look at this, they just want more, but Relix with the Spectre of all guns, able to find a mid-range spray down on 2, and that's going to make Gen.G pause for thought.
Yeah, this is going to be a problem here. Relix, though, he did the job. He managed to get 2 kills out of that one. Although A-side is going to be available for them, they can take this spike and place it. That was very well done. So have some bodies left to hold this one off now as members of Gen.G start to fall. Vice has been on fire this game. Going to cut him off. So 2 players are effectively going to be cut off here. One's going to have to just opt to go over toward Heaven. Hwin is going to be waiting out by the flank here. They have no idea that Hwin's here. Hwin can actually get himself 2 kills out of this one. Does manage to pick off 1. Player 1 will have his buddies back. They'll get that next kill. And now in a 2v2 now, as Vice, who's just been on fire this game, oh man, does not get that kill, even though he had him on that first shot. Now it's going to be up to Shinomi, the IGL here. For C9, they heard him drop down, but he doesn't have a lot of time to work around with here. Big kill, though. Perhaps this could be the opportunity he was looking for. Dark cover, going to try and see if he can stick this one. Oh, no! Oh, no, but it does not actually populate where he wants the dark cover to be. That is unfortunate. And then that is simply just going to give Hwin the clear line of sight to get that shot off. They'll be able to grow this lead just a little bit more as we go into the half.
Yeah, really nice first off from Gen.G. They had a really good mixture of contact plays, just like slow-paced defaults, and just some great executions coming through. And C9, they started to struggle a little bit there, but we'll have to see if their attacking side is as good or even better as we move things forwards into this pistol. And I feel like this is, you know, when we're really going to see 10s go a bit nuts. Or at least that's what I'm hoping for C9's sake.
Yeah.
And I wonder if C9 are going to get a little bit more aggressive than Gen.G. Gen.G set the pace immediately as very slow, even in the pistol round in the first half. So C9, maybe they'll be looking for something more explosive here as they gather towards the B sites.
Now, one of the problems with the composition that Gen.G has is that they don't have the safety of a Cypher Cam to give them protection, to give them knowledge as to what is going to be happening over on B site. It's where you would always see that happen. But with this paranoia, and now with the intel that they have, Mikhail just still going for some more jiggles. When they push through this, there is no way that they push and not get paranoia. They're going to have to deal with that one or try and bait that utility out. Okay, here we go. This is going to be the response paranoia. He also gets paranoia in turn, so no one can see anything right now. But they do manage to get onto the site here. GMD, clean shot, headshot onto Relix. As Mikhail's trying to deal with a lot of activity. Unfortunately for him, though, he's going to get overwhelmed on B site, and they will have clear leeway to just plant this spike, win this round, get themselves within 1 here. But the double paranoia, just to try and like hold them back, was a valiant attempt, but they just didn't have the numbers on the site to deal with the aggression from Cloud9.
Yeah, that boombot really made all the difference. It's so strong in pistol rounds, especially as we can see there in spots where the defenders are playing particularly passive.
Yep.
Suddenly the boombot appears, and also swinging with it is a player, and it's just
6 player.
It's just so hard to deal with that, and that was really the tipping point there. So just some good tactics there, just keeping things simple. It's going for a straight up B hit, but now they have to deal with the anti-eco, and I'm really curious to see what teams come up with in this game, because in CS, there's usually 2 or 3 ways to play any map and really effectively with the anti-eco. But in this game, the utility is so diverse that there's loads of different ways to handle it.
Within striking distance here for C9, as Gen.G will have to make a heroic play. 2 players are going to be tucked inside of this smoke. This smoke's going to dissipate here in about a few seconds, and unfortunately, player 1 thought he could be the sneaky beaver inside. Although Effys does manage to get a kill with the right click, I have to appreciate just the ambition there. They're going to go and push this one out with all the flashes that they possibly have, just try and take control of this A site. Mikhail's not going to make it easy for them, though. And he's still alive. That's still going to be a problem, even though he just has a classic. He has 100 HP. Doesn't have much utility to deal with this. We'll have a dark cover available in 5 seconds, but as he pushes out, I mean, 10, he can just take as many pot shots as he wants because he knows that they have no weapons to try and handle them. And we're all knotted up now.
Yeah, really hard to hold that A site with just pistols. They did a pretty good job. But 7-7, indeed, all tied up. And this is where things start to get interesting as we begin to learn what is the story, what's the narrative in terms of the attacking side and the conditioning that we want to start pressing onto the defenders as the attacking side. And where does it start? So here we can see just a typical spread across the map here. Making sure that you have Cypher sort of lurking towards A, making sure you keep the defenders honest if they were to push that. And same thing with B main, you want to take control over that. And Raze is in position there for that, and Tens is applying pressure on mid here. So getting down this wall is really important. Obviously the dark cover will make things even easier, because once you kill that wall, you don't have to worry about being open to any angles. And C9, they've got so much pressure here. They're starting to bait out Sage utility as well, and that's going to pay off for them later on in the round as they now start to rotate out towards the A sites.
Job most certainly done there. If you're in the match and you're like, oh, we got wall out, busted that open. We also got a slow orb too. Huge plus. But now actually leave only the Brimstone here on site now, and Mitch actually just going to go and send it with those 2 satchels, just looking to get on top of this, and I like that play only because it's now going to alert them and it's going to make them have to rotate this one and play a little cautiously. The problem is that player 1 is all the way back on A site, and there's no real way for them to try and deal with player 1 here.
Yeah, this is really difficult, Mikhail there in A Heaven. That's a great paranoia that actually catches 2 players, slows them down before they can get through the choke, which allows them to drop the slow orb there as well. So right now this push is being stopped. Gen.G holding their ground, using the utility there to create advantages, and there's really not too much that it seems that can be done, but as I say, that Shinobi finds himself a double with the Bulldog, but it is short-lived as Gen.G will hold on, and that is surely a relief for them, because they honestly, it started to feel like C9 were... They could have been taking momentum. If they were able to win that round, it would really have spelled, I think, disaster for Gen.G, but they are going to be able to pick it up and proceed, and hopefully for them, be able to build their economy. But to do that, they will have to win this round, obviously. But whoever loses this one will be on the save. So this is a 2-for-1 round.
They're going to do the same thing once again. Cloud9 playing for that mid pressure, trying to get the utility away from the Sage. Once that next dark cover comes out, the wall should be coming out too. There it is. And same thing that happened before too. Tens, looking to see if there's going to be any gaps, but the difference is this time around, they're going to be committing to this. So they're going through it, and now Tens has taken control of top mid. They have no idea. Both slows are now at play. Oh boy, this is problematic here. Oh, but wait a minute though. Tens gets pulled away for just a moment. He's in this corner. He's in no man's land by himself. He gets 1 kill. It's probably going to get traded out right away, but he does not go for the shot. Looks for one. Does manage to get it, and he's going to dismiss out of there. Oh, he doesn't manage to get out of there in time though. But just staying alive and letting them push out to get those 2 kills does, in fact, shape up the round just a little bit to help his buddies out here. Mitch is going to be all the way on the opposite side on CT. Does manage to get that kill.
And that will secure the B-side control, and Mitch can just try to hold on to spawn. Doesn't know if there's players B heaven, though. Relics has no info of anything either, so he's going to have to try to make the cross, and he's just, well, he manages to make his way across safely. Spots that there is no one heaven just yet. But going for the 2v2, it's going to be difficult, but the molly is there, some smokes for between Jet and Brim here, so lots of options to cut off vision to make life particularly difficult and to try to create 2v1 scenarios. That's what Gen.G are looking for with that retake utility. And also, win there. Very nice angle, looking to see if there's going to be any spots, and there it is, actually hits the headshot onto Relics. He's very weak, and there it is, the utility to try to allow them to cross. Mitch knows he has to press forwards, the spray transfer's not quite there in time, and Win will close it down in the clutch. Great play in the 2v2 from Gen.G.
And respectful there from Mitch, not giving the respect to that molly, just going right inside of it and looking to make that play happen because he knew that Relics was basically in a tough spot. This play there, if he manages to get away for just a second longer, just has a little bit more of that would have been pretty big for them. They could have tucked that corner, and maybe keeping TenZ alive would have been the thing that tipped it in their favor. Now, though, you highlighted before, whoever lost that round, they were going to be stuck into this pistol. And TenZ is going to buy, though.
Yeah, and loss, it's always worth noting, like, if you're in right now in Gen.G's position, you think, okay, how did they play their last anti-eco? Well, it was the typical sort of just, run in, send it through A using the utility as you would. But you want to make sure that things are unpredictable. So you don't necessarily want to always do the same thing again in situations like this, even if it's very favorable. And they are just going to walk through into routes. But there are some close ranges to deal with here, and they are contacting. So GMD is in a position to shut this down, possibly. This could be a disaster, but they'll go up both roads, both sides at once, and GMD had a chance. But it will be dashed, unfortunately, for Gen.G.
Going up that second rope was such a plus for them. They had 2 players that silently went up ropes already, so they were good to go there. Oh, Quinn just barely misses the shot. And that blaze wall will cut off some vision for a moment here. As Quinn's waiting for the opening, and TenZ got inside hell, but ends up getting punished for that one. As he popped his ult, does not really get much out of that now. This is going to be quite the problem here. As Quinn is just making quick work of them. They're tucked inside. They have to use this utility to get onto the site, get that spike, but the spike is going to be in the worst possible spot for them to go for that. They had to deal with those players at the screens. It does not work out for them, and thus Gen.G will go up 10-7.
So right now it's always it's an interesting spot to just take check of what ults we have available. There's quite a lot of ults, orbital strikes available, an orbital strike available for Gen.G, as well as the Breach's ultimate. So there's a lot of firepower for both sides, as we have the rocket to run it back for C9. But it's worth mentioning too that we had that mid-round retake of mid, which almost went very wrong, as we saw TenZ had that almost 3-piece. And so that's something to also think about if you're on the attacking side, that there is a tendency here for Gen.G to get aggressive in mid, and Delir comes out.
Oh no!
Oh, Win! I think he must have felt like he was pressing right there, but he's pressing forwards when he hit that dash key. That is a problem, but Effie's in the smoke! What was that second kill? Finds TenZ with a stray bullet, and there's that breach ult, but Mikhail's able to hold the ground in time, and so lots of things expended here, lots of ults expended, but nothing really gained except this plant. It's 2 versus 3. It's going to be tough to hold on to this.
Let's see here. No paranoia. They do have the aftershock to force out of position here. Mitch will just have to drift aside for a moment. That fault line actually does manage to connect. Force him to go back inside of the default, and Shinobi inside of dark cover here. This actually could be huge. This actually doesn't connect though. GMD gets both kills. And Gen.G managed to retake this site, and that Rolling Thunder, man, that was just a good read of the situation. Bailed out his teammate. And now that they are going to be on this winning path, Gen.G looking like they're handling this aggression well from C9. Giving them the space, but when they know that they have that slight advantage, besides the fact that Quinn had a little bit of a flub there, this from Effie was glorious.
Yeah, it was really awesome to see, and I'm wondering if C9 are going to go for a faster approach in mid. They'll have to get rid of Sage's utility first, but right now one of the things that they could use to their advantage is to run it back, and that could be a way to clear some ground and space. But again, you do have to deplete Sage's utility to really make that as effective as possible. So we'll see if that's the approach or if they'll find a different use case for that run it back. But they definitely need to start picking up rounds here. As you mentioned, Gen.G really close to closing this one out now. And more presence towards A, the typical, cam going up, making everything look normal. But with that said, there is info towards B main here as well for Gen.G. So they have a good read, I think, as to what's happening in the early rounds.
They're quite confident that is going to give them the freedom to be able to push up. Player 1 does manage to pick up 1 kill. GMD from on top of A ramps does a lot of damage here to C9. And now they basically just don't have a lot of room to work with. And Mikhail's got this flank covered here. Backs out at the worst moment, but I think he'll be okay. They have to be aware that someone could be pushing through mid, given that the wall's going to be gone. Now Mikhail does back up here. That kill comes in as Mikhail does connect with it. Only player left alive, it's going to be Shinobi. Has the spike, but options are going to be severely limited here. 4 members of Gen.G still standing. And they're quite confident in where they're going to be holding these positions.
Yeah, this is really cool to see that they're playing B retake style, and it's something where they know what they're going to bank on what they know for sure, and just make sure they're playing safe. They're in a 4 versus 1. They don't have to risk anything. They can easily overwhelm just one single player. Giving him a plant is totally fine, and you can see Shinobi's going to be forced to make the plant behind this box. Could actually just get sprayed here because Win knows exactly where he is, so very easy to handle, and nothing lost there. Just sure, they'll allow a plant to go down, but more importantly, they're going to make sure that they secure the round, and possibly, sometimes having that plant go down, that's an extra ult point off of the defuse. So if you're not concerned about the economy and how that's working out for yourself and your opponents, then that can actually be a win to allow them to plant in some situations.
It makes sense that they wanted to give that to GMD as well. 2 more and he'll be back to Rolling Thunder, which in case things go, off kilter, they will have that to be able to fall back on potentially. Now, though, it's going to be match point for Gen.G here in Game 1. Game 2 will be Ascent. Bear in mind, this was going to be Gen.G's pick here, and they have been playing Split very, very well in recent tournaments, so not a shocker that they've managed to perform here once again. A lot of poise from this Gen.G lineup. C9 going right into their hands, and now here we go. Gen.G could be walking away with this first game and feeling quite confident into Ascent, potentially. C9 now just looking to get any kind of opening. Their buy is going to be a little bit scattered all over the place. GMD takes out TenZ. That's a big win condition for them, him in general. And TenZ has been rather silent in this matchup. He hasn't been the TenZ that we would normally expect to see in top-tier tournament play, which has been quite shocking, honestly.
Yeah, just hasn't really had many spots to succeed, and he's just walking up, contacting by himself, and that didn't go very well. We'll see the explosion here from Vice, able to take control of the Heaven position on the A site, and there is the ult as a response from Shinobi to get that plant. And this is going to be a tough retake for Gen.G. They don't have any position. All they have is spawns. So this is going to be really difficult, and already there's a flank with the Raze, so if they get slowed down any more coming through this spawn position as they go to Heaven, I don't know that they have many chances here. Vice gets a kill, drops off, creating more problems, delaying ever further, and there it is. Mitch on that flank, and indeed, it should be a free one, or maybe a free 2.
Yeah, he gets the information. I think he wanted to go maybe inside of Heaven to see if he could take out the player that was going to be tucked away inside of that, but at this point, though, they're going to be in a rough position. Balls out, too. Actually, pretty clever to try and prevent them from getting out of this cleanly. Oh, that's 2. That does hurt the economy a tad. So that is quite nice for C9, I think, or excuse me, for Gen.G. They're going to be satisfied with that, on top of which you're also going to have Breach ult available. They have a ton of ults online here to try and put this game away.
Yeah, this is a really huge problem when you're in the shoes of C9 and you know that there's all these ults available. It does get really scary because you want to try to find a way to, can you make an argument to get Breach to burn that ultimate? Because it feels like when you're retaking with a Breach ult, it's just so difficult to deal with. So I'm a bit worried for them. I think this breach ult could really just seal the deal.
They're going to keep the breach. Oh, Hwin already getting that first blood out of the gate there against Relics. That hurts, but they still are not going to be quite out of it yet. Don't want to count them out. Cloud9 have in the past done some pretty miraculous plays here. Mikhail with his paranoia. He dies. He ends up falling. B-side's going to be available, but there's the Rolling Thunder. Does manage to connect with 2, and as Gen.G descends from heaven, he ends up dying right away. TenZ gets 3 kills out of this, and this is exactly what we want to see happen here. As those slow orbs are out, they need to get that spike, bring it back in. 2 players left alive here for Gen.G. As TenZ is going to be watching the flank on the defender side. It's going to be a weakened player 1 who has to try and take this one. Does he have any utility is the question. And then Hwin with an op outside of this going over toward heaven. Now, though, the Vice will encounter Hwin if he continues to commit to this. They don't have anything to block vision, but they do have a molly. Don't really see how they're going to be able to incorporate that here. It's going to boil down to Hwin being the problem child inside of heaven. He's waiting for that opportunity to try and pull the trigger on this one. Player 1, and there it is. There's the first kill. Now Hwin can actually go and push this one forward. He's got the angle. He's got the cross here. He's got the cross. He's got the shot. Oh, he's going to sink it. Oh, Hwin! What a play to win the game. That was beautifully done. And